Steve Wallis, the YouTube creator affectionately known as the Bob Ross of camping, was never just filming tents and campfires. He was building something softer than entertainment, something that felt safe. With his calm voice, understated humor, and minimalist approach, he made the outdoors feel welcoming rather than intimidating. He made stillness feel achievable. But behind the gentle routines and cozy nights lay a story shaped by devastating loss. A story that would eventually pull him away from the very space where millions had found comfort through him. Steve didn't step away from YouTube because he ran out of places to camp or stories to tell. He stepped away because life stripped him of the people who made those quiet places feel like home. For years, his viewers relied on the same familiar rhythm. The calm greeting at the beginning of each video, the unhurried way he set up his shelter, the small rituals that signaled safety and rest. There was something grounding about it all. In a noisy, anxious world, Steve's presence felt steady, almost therapeutic. People didn't just watch his videos. They exhaled through them. Then the rhythm stopped. The uploads ceased. The calm narration vanished. The gentle humor that once transformed parking lots, frozen fields, and abandoned spaces into places of warmth gave way to silence. For many viewers, it felt unsettling, even personal. This wasn't just a creator going inactive. It felt like losing a familiar voice, someone who had quietly helped people cope, slow down, and feel okay in moments when life felt overwhelming. Because this was never really about camping. It was about what happens when life removes the anchors we depend on. When grief arrives so forcefully that even the simplest joys lose their comfort. Steve's calm demeanor, his gentle humor, and his ability to find peace in unlikely places weren't accidental traits. They were skills honed through years of hardship, survival, and deliberate living. But when the people he loved most were suddenly gone, even those skills were pushed to their limits. The routines that once brought peace felt hollow. The shelters he built, symbols of control, safety, and resilience, couldn't protect him from loss. The world continued moving, but Steve couldn't. Grief demanded more than distraction. It demanded silence, space, and time. Stepping away wasn't surrender. It was survival. Steve Wallis didn't disappear because he was weak. He disappeared because the weight of loss was heavier than anything he had faced outdoors. And that loss came in waves. Steve often spoke of his wife Jess with a quiet reverence, always calling her his beautiful wife. Though she rarely appeared on camera, her presence was woven into everything he did. It lived in the calmness of his voice, the warmth of his demeanor, the steadiness that defined his life. She was his anchor, an unseen but ever-present source of comfort behind every cold night and small victory. In August 2022, Steve shared news that shattered his world and stunned his audience. Jess had passed away suddenly. There was no dramatic framing, no polished announcement, just raw honesty. Steve didn't shield his grief or dress it up for the camera. He allowed people to see a man standing inside a life that no longer made sense, trying to understand how love could vanish so abruptly. Before he could begin to heal, another blow followed. Steve's mother passed away after a long battle with cancer. Losing a parent is life-altering on its own, but layered on top of losing a spouse, it became crushing. And then, in early 2024, grief returned once more. His close friend and frequent collaborator, Glenn, known to fans as Crazy Neighbor Glenn, passed away. Glenn wasn't just part of the channel. He was part of Steve's world. A source of laughter, companionship, and shared history. 3 devastating losses in less than 2 years. No pause. No space to recover. The quiet life Steve had built fractured under the weight of it all. The channel that once felt like refuge began reflecting everything he had lost. And so, he stepped away not because he lacked strength, but because strength sometimes means retreating to survive. Before grief rewrote his story, Steve was already quietly redefining what adventure could be. He never chased fame. He didn't follow trends or polish his content for algorithms. There were no flashy intros, no manufactured drama. He showed up exactly as he was, calm, awkward, unassuming, and that honesty became his power. In a digital world driven by noise and spectacle, Steve's stillness felt radical. People called him the Bob Ross of camping, because he did the same thing Bob Ross once did with a paintbrush. He removed fear. He made the outdoors feel gentle. Through slow movements and simple tools, a tarp, a stove, a sleeping bag, he created moments of peace. He showed that adventure didn't have to be extreme or expensive. Could be quiet, imperfect, human. Mistakes weren't edited out. Fires failed. Meals fell into the snow. And instead of embarrassment, there was laughter, learning, reassurance. Steve made it okay to be imperfect. And in doing so, he built trust. That trust was rooted in necessity, not aesthetics. Long before YouTube's success, Steve lived out of an old RV in British Columbia because stability wasn't an option. Boondocking wasn't a trend for him, it was survival. Cold nights, scarce comfort, constant improvisation. That reality shaped his approach to everything. One winter night changed everything. Camping alone in temperatures plunging to -32 degrees Celsius, armed with little more than a thin sleeping bag and a small propane stove, Steve quietly endured. No cinematic drama, no heroic framing, just resilience. And people felt it. Not because it was impressive, but because it was real. From there, his philosophy became clear. Take camping back for everyone. Parking lots replaced pristine campgrounds. Improvisation replaced expensive gear. And his iconic ritual, Step 1, set up shelter. Step 2, crack a cold beer, became a symbol of survival and small victories. Stealth camping followed naturally. Forgotten spaces, overlooked corners, places no one noticed. Steve didn't just camp there, he transformed them. A U-Haul became shelter. A bunker became refuge. With patience and planning, he turned emptiness into warmth. And through it all, he showed that adventure wasn't about recognition. It was about presence. When Steve finally returned to YouTube, there was no spectacle, no announcement. He simply continued, quieter now, heavier, but still honest. And his audience understood. The comment sections filled with care, empathy, and shared grief. What once was an audience became a community walking alongside him. Steve Wallis proved that influence doesn't need volume. It needs truth. He didn't reinvent himself. He endured. And that was enough. Today, through Camping with Steve, he continues to share one message. Adventure belongs to everyone. Not the wealthy. Not the perfectly equipped. Everyone. Steve's story isn't about camping. It's about resilience. About surviving loss. About showing up when life feels unbearably heavy. One shelter at a time. One quiet night at a time. One small act of courage at a time. So what do you think about Steve Wallis's journey? Can someone ever fully heal from losses like these? Or do we simply learn how to carry them? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe.